Good evening and welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't Africans, the Think Show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so-called African American, black, Negro, colored didn't find their way to America in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, the indigenous one. When the soul suffocates. Tonight we're just going to talk about what happens when you cut yourself off from life. And this is major, what's going on with the indigenous people here in America. You're being overran. Outsiders are getting what's supposed to be yours. And you just sit on the sidelines watching it happen, not saying a word. Well, you really want to say something. But since you've been in the bed with Christians, Muslims, Moors, Hebrews, Greeks, you know what you try to run to every time you leave yourself. And what's funny about that is you can't run away from yourself. But trust the Negro, he'll try to run away and get away from himself, his mama, his grandmama, his great-grandmama, his great-great-grandmama, all the nieces and aunts and uncles and friends in between. He'll turn his back on all of that. She will turn her back on all of that, so they can be a character in somebody else's story. That's the African American. I don't have to prove it. If you're thinking, you know. If you don't know, start thinking. So tonight we're going to talk about when the soul suffocates. And one of the things we like to, always let known that what you put your clothes on, what you put your hat on, who you think you are, who you believe you are, that's not really who you are. That's your what? What do you call that? That's your avatar. Whatever you call yourself, Haru, Jesus, whatever you call yourself, whatever you think you are, that's not who you are. That's your ego, and that's normally how you're in the position that you're in now. You are the soul. The soul people, rich soul people. That's you. And you know it. Everybody knows it, because parents make sure they let the kids know. Everybody wants to be you. They got breakdancing in the Olympics now. This is how much you change culture, but you're not used to do that because you're in all these other groups. People just use your soul to do it because you won't do it otherwise, because you believe that you're something else. Amen? When the soul suffocates. So when you look up American, it just means rich soul. Rich soul, that's rich soul. Rican, rich, soul. Talking about you. I didn't read that. You never read. You never know nothing. Never. And then bitch and complain because you don't pick up, you don't ask questions, you don't try to know, you think you know it because you got books all on your shelf. It just means you you take what somebody else says and you believe what they say. You never think and try to figure it out for yourself. We're talking about the African Americans now. These aren't, I'm not talking about the people who already know they're connected to this land. They run through this land like a river runs through the Mississippi. Those of you who know that, you know. So all land masses produce people. What you call China, the Chinese do what they want to over there. What you call Africa, who you say you are, those people do what they do over there. And if you go over there trying to talk that stuff that you talk here, you will be embarrassed. They know you're not African. They know it. None of them that come over here taking a DNA test against you. None of them are over here doing that. They're coming over to get your stuff because you don't want it. You want what they got. You want what everybody else got. And we can attest to that because most of the things you have in your house, you didn't produce. Another country produced it. And you paid, and you won't even think of trying to do it for yourself. The African American won't. So since the African American has soul is suffocating big time, what you see in the news today, we're going to let you know how the African American fits in today's events. If you look at a city like everybody knows in all of the cities, they're gentrifying. There's one of these amendments, these things they do, 2030, Agenda 2030, blah, 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 blah. How they reduce cities and put up new urban places to gentrify the Negro out. Because every time the Negro is just about to get under his footing, he's moved. Neely Fuller talks about that extensively. Always got to be uneven. And if you go in these cities, Los Angeles is one. That's the main one I know about. So I'll talk about that. But when you talk about people, when you talk to people in other cities, they say the same thing. The immigrants that are coming into the country are here to replace you. I mean, and I really don't understand how we don't see that. I really don't understand how we don't see that. You go down in places like Jackson, Mississippi, and Birmingham, Alabama, the city is hiring Mexicans. Why? This is your home. Why? You're being removed. Come on. Come on. And we don't seem to know. We don't seem to get it. We never. I mean, how do you explain doing the same stuff over and over and over for the past at least 100 years? No game plan. All you want to do is stay what's got you in this position now. That's the African American. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. And see, you won't even look at it like that. So since we're not looking at it like that, the soul suffocates. Your heart tells you what to do. Your brain tells you what to do. Your liver tells you what to do. Your sphincter muscle tell you what to do. When you got to take a shit and you in a hurry. Get out of your way. You have no control over it. Amen? Ain't that how it works? So start paying attention to you. Pay attention to your brain. Pay attention to your heart. Pay attention to your feet. Pay attention to your eyes. That's who you are. You keep paying attention to baby's kids, and that's the dumbest thing out there. You are letting something that somebody else calls you, what somebody else named you, you're going by that. That's not who you are. I mean, this is not too hard, is it? Because it's real simple. I don't know what you mean. Why are we all in that mindset? We don't get it. Why are we still eating this garbage? This cheap, that's what I'm saying. If you want to see the power of the indigenous people here, you got to stop acting anti-indigenous. That's like, this is what's happening. So, a couple of weeks ago, we did a program on how Europe is coming over here down in the South to get the trees down here, because the trees here, they burn them somehow. I talked about it. I forget what it was. But the trees over here, you can use them. Over in Europe, they use them extensively. So now they're coming to the South, tearing down the trees and stuff in the South. You see how many of us are drying out now? Many of us are losing our hair. We look dried out because there's no moisture. All the trees are being chopped down. We don't see that. That's why this place is, remember, a squirrel could walk to Florida, to Canada without ever touching the ground. That's how many trees it were. The Amazon forest came up through here. Where you see that at? We don't know. We don't even look at the map to even try to figure it out. That's how much this shit is in your face, and you pretend like you don't see it. The game is on. Always trying to have what other people have. Always trying to do what other people do. And you don't even see them coming over here taking everything from you. That's the African American. Tell me I'm lying. The world is changing before your eyes. You just go along with it. How many, since this, I just had a lady visit, and she was talking about how, what's the guy name who was in New York? Who was in Atlanta? John Lewis. And she was talking about how great he was, and and I'm like, we made sure we were talking about the same John Lewis. And I said, why is he your hero? That's her hero. I said, well, why is John Lewis your hero? And she gave me some old bullshit answer that made no sense. And I told her, I'm like, I said, have you been to Atlanta lately? She was like, yeah. I'm like, well, what is your views on Atlanta now? She said, oh, when I was a kid, it was nothing like that. She said, the homosexuality is running rampant. I can't believe it. I'm like, don't you know John Lewis is partly responsible for that? No. Yeah. Well, all you gotta do is he was a big opponent of it. How don't you know that? And he's your hero. How don't you know that? And he's your hero. That's what I'm saying, y'all. You are the hero. You are. You gonna make it right. Ain't nobody coming. Jesus ain't none of that's happening. You gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Every time some right needs to be done, step your ass in there and do it. It's just that simple. See, DeMarc says nobody can afford these damn houses. Right, DeMarc, but wouldn't it make sense if we went back to the places where our people are from, back on that land and start building from there, and take everything that we give everybody else, take that out of their hands? Why is that so hard to understand? Why is that so hard to do? Because the African American has been trained to work against himself. That's what's happening. They don't want to talk about it. They're too embarrassed. It's like the Negroes who voted in this last election for president. See, you see how they don't say anything? You don't hear them saying nothing? They quiet because they know they messed up. Same way with the Negro and all these groups they in. Can you imagine if Negroes put down all these groups and religions and all this bullshit they in? Can you imagine? So that's why you have certain guys there who leading it. They're part of it. They're to keep you divided, because if you're not divided, they don't have a job. You should have figured that out by now. You should have figured that out in the Marcus Garvey days. You have to know at least 50 years ahead of you, ahead of yourself. I mean, it's good to know, go back when you're looking for your genealogy. It's good to go back, but look at what happened 50 years before you were born, 25 to 50 years that you were born. See what happened. See what you were getting into. See what was happening when you were ingesting in your mother's womb. What was happening? What was going on? You're a part of that. That's part of your soul. That's why everybody comes over to you, because they know you got soul. You don't know you have it. You don't care that you have it. You act like you don't have it because you and all these other soulless groups. And when I say soulless, I mean motherfuckers damn near monsters. All of them. Because you keep running away from yourself. I mean, running. You can't run away from yourself, so you're just running in a circle. When the soul suffocates, you're not giving your kids the information they need. You over here right now, they letting all these immigrants over here. Why? To replace you. They don't plan on paying you your retirement. Tell me you know this shit. Tell me you know this. Tell me that you don't think something is weird with this COVID shit. Tell me you don't see that. This is what you handing over to your kids. When you don't pass this information down to your kids, when you tell your kids that they African, how are they supposed to do whatever the soul tells them to do? When you tell your kids that they Greek and you worship and lick Greek culture in the mouth, what are you telling them about his culture? No, these are questions we have to ask. See, we don't have these conversations. We talk about nothing. Who won the game? Did you see that show? You know, next time you're out somewhere hanging out at a bar or something, just eavesdrop on the conversation and see what Negro. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And if you try to have a conversation with you, they run away. So this is where we are, with our children. So how are our children supposed to know something if we're not teaching them anything? That's how the soul suffocates. And that's what is happening to us now. But most of it is like a suicide thing, because most of it, we don't want information. You got computers in your pocket. You got computers in your pocket. And won't go to even look up in the 1800s where your great, 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 great grandmama's from to see what was happening around there. I talk to people every day, and this is what they say. I don't know. Well, what are you doing? What are you waiting for? See, that's just not important. What the foreigners have is more important to you. As if you haven't got enough of that shit. Really? You think you can go anywhere in the world where these people from and act in their country like they act in yours? You know why they act like that way in your country? Because you don't have control of it. You say it's for everybody. You'll say you'll eat tomorrow so other people can eat today. Or you'll say you ate yesterday. You don't need to eat today. Let them eat. Isn't that how the African American does it? You've all seen Joe Biden lately, your president, your zaddy. The woman who slid her way through a so-called historically black college with a whole bunch of Negro women that got her damn near to be the president. Damn near to be the president. And them Negroes can't even make sure that they're there. So when you talk about black people, come on, y'all. Really? The blunders that they create after one another should make you want to vomit. Do you think you could go to India and do what Kamala Harris did over there? Huh? I mean, come on, let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it. Come on. No. And so you're seeing what the Negro, the African American is doing. You're seeing what the African American, what they're teaching their children. You see, if you look at Los Angeles now, check it out. And they're cutting off these people who've been getting these checks. Now your rent is not free no more. I didn't even know they had a lot of the stuff what they had. No wonder people wasn't trying to find a job. They was lounging, getting the rent paid. What? Yeah. So now all of that, what's going to happen now? What's happening? I mean, come on. I'm talking about medium cities too. They're building something new without you. Everybody I know in LA saying the rent too high. It's too many homeless people. I mean, in LA, homeless people everywhere. Everywhere. The same people that don't have the sense. And I don't know what, and a lot of people see most of what we know, we go by what other people say. Mississippi is one of the most beautiful places on the planet. And I know people who say they will never, ever go to Mississippi. That's how they were scared off their land. See? You got a city like Chicago. I mean, with all that genius you got up there, you mean those Negroes couldn't descend on Mississippi and turned it into a whole nother place. See, the soul of the people will come back home. What do you think that would create? What if you think of all the Negroes who lived in Detroit came back to Alabama and Tennessee, where they're from, and start building on their homes there? You would take your soul with you. People couldn't feed off your soul. People can't feed off your soul. What if all the people out in Los Angeles and Oakland and on the West Coast, if they came back to their ancestral homelands? It's just a thought. Because see, that's what Mexicans are going to do. They're going to work here and build up their homes. And we are on the streets talking about rent. That's what happens when the soul suffocates. You pushing the pillow over your own face because we're trying to be what somebody has told us we were. And we're not being ourselves. So when the soul suffocates, don't do it to yourself. Because you're going to look up and be like, what happened? And you're going to lose your mind then because you're going to realize it was you all along. Why you think other men come here and get with your woman here? They got to eat that soul, man. They can use that soul for anything. Anything. So teach your sons, teach your daughters that they people didn't come over here on no slave ship. Matter of fact, make up a story to show them how dumb that story is. As the parent, you should be able to do that. Remember, there's other parts of the world. They're the North Pole. People can walk down through the North Pole. They can walk into Canada from the North Pole. Isn't it a shorter distance? How come we don't think about this? How come we don't talk about this? How come we don't teach kids? All we teach them is what we have been taught. And since you have been colored, you have been taught to be, basically a monkey. Basically, what that Steve Harvey said, he'd be a monkey for $1 million. Isn't that what's happening? Isn't that what's happening? So I'm going to go ahead and close it out tonight. Start of your week, have a good week. Pay attention to what's going on and what's happening. Keep your family safe. Everybody stay around each other and look out for each other. We're in some perilous times, y'all. We'll talk to you soon.